Incredible 4 years chair like this. I think every chair.
Close it.
Back is.
That would make it bigger, wouldn't it?
So I'm back during court.
See, I can make mine like that.
For some reason, mine. Do it from, yeah, mine is downloaded.
Fortunately, I caught myself. Let's get her started this morning. This will be a Commissioners Court meeting, May 27th, 2025. We'll call this meeting to order. We have Ruben Ortega is absent today. The rest of us are present. Let's all rise for the invocation by Reverend Wallace.
Let us pray. Most high and all-loving God, before we begin today's work, we pause to give you thanks. You are the source of life and love, hope and peace, and we thank you for the fresh start and possibility of this new day. We recognize your care for every square inch of creation, and we pray that all of us, especially those who serve on this court, would join in loving this county we call home, just as you love this place and people. With the psalmist in Psalm 72, we ask that you would give our leaders your justice and righteousness, your wisdom and courage. Help this Commissioner's Court to listen, first of all, to you, to the whole community, and to one another. Help them also to speak, especially to amplify the voices of those in our community who are the most vulnerable and rarely heard. As we seek to live as good neighbors, as familia together, we pray for their families. We lift up each agenda item and each county department and employee represented here today. We pray that this day's agenda would follow your agenda, that we live united as your beloved community. Sheltering God, I believe you are in the homecoming and homemaking business. Bless all of us who call Brewster County home and help us join you in making Brewster County a healthy and flourishing home for all. Grant these commissioners and judge everything they need, most of all, a heart of service, that they would fulfill their important role in your making our county a better home for all of us. All truth is your truth, and people come to know you and your will in many ways. I offer this prayer in the way and name of a brown-skinned Jewish homeless migrant, your son, Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
Thank you, Pastor, this morning for words of wisdom and encouragement. All right, let's do number 4, review, discuss, and take action to approve the previous meeting minutes of May 13th.
I move to approve the minutes as presented.
I'll second. All right, motion to approve the minutes of May 13th and second. Any discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, public comments. Today, all compliments, of course, come to me. complaints go to today to Sarah. Sarah is the complaint.
You drew the short straw.
Have you noticed I never get the complaints, I always get the compliments?
They're afraid of Sarah.
All right, no public comments, so let's do a report from the city of Alpine. Looks like they're not here today, and let's move on to number 7, recognitions and announcements. Got lots of those. Jim, why don't you start?
I'll start by reminding everybody that tomorrow at 10 a.m., I suggest you get there a little early, is the Big Bend Area Law Enforcement Officers Association Memorial for all of our fallen officers that have perished in the line of duty over the last year. It's a really, really nice and moving ceremony. It's worth going if you haven't been there yet. For all of those who can't make it or if you can make it, I have pins that has their logo on it.
Thank you, Jim.
Sir?
Thank you, Jim. And so. You, sir. Anybody in the audience? Share. Well, we'll share. Thank you.
Did Jim make it?
Probably.
And Ruben doesn't get his, no. But anyway, it starts at 10, be there a little early, in order to grab a seat. They're the Big Bend Area Law Enforcement Officers Association.org has a website, Facebook page, but it's speeches. They do a nice flyover by the Air and Marine helicopter. They have the mounted horse patrols, which are awesome. So I'd suggest if you haven't been, it's good. If you go every year like I do, it's even better. So thank you.
It's worth it. Yes, they're very good. Yeah. Thank you, Jim. Mo, what do you got this morning?
A short, brief discussion on New World screwworms.
Oh, gosh.
I don't know why they call it New World. They're not new, but I guess it's the New World. This is a long story, but I'll try to be brief. The screwworm flies came out of South America, and they showed up in Texas and New Mexico and Arizona in the late 1940s and through the 50s and way into the 60s. And the problem with them is they affect all wildlife and all livestock. What happens is the female screwworm fly has to have just a tiny drop of fresh blood. They don't land in dead stuff. And they'll lay their eggs in that. And then the eggs hatch and they're larvae and they look like maggots, but they're not. And they actually screw into the flesh and it's hideous. Navels are the big one on wildlife. And then after the eggs mature, the larva matures, they drop out and become pupa, and then they hatch into other flies. The program, how we got it stopped before, I would like to say, I'm probably the only one here that's seen a case of screwworms. Anyway, you can get to where you smell the dead flesh on these live animals. Now, cattle like a dehorn or the brand that peels, deer rubbing their horns, they have blood in their horns, they'll land there. Through the effort, A&M headed it up, Texas A&M. They created a factory down in Mission, Texas, and with a lot of support from the private industry and the Department of Agriculture in Mexico as well. And what they did was they irradiated the male flies. I don't know how they figured that out, but made them sterile. And then if you had a case of screwworms, you would send a sample in Mission. They'd look at it, yeah, it's screwworm. And then they would fly, airplane fly out and drop sterile male flies. They're in like a double quarter pounder box, what they look like. They hit the ground, boom, it opens up. The flies come out, they breed the females. They do lay their eggs, but they don't hatch. And then there was one time in the 70s, I think they dropped some fertile flies because we had no cases for 3 years, and all of a sudden, bam, we had them. But through the efforts of our USDA and Mexican Cattlemen Association, that sort of thing, we had it was moved past the Panama Canal. We had it fought down there. Well, it's on its way back. It's within 300 miles of Texas. And it's a hideous deal. And it's, it actually changed how people ran their livestock programs. They would calve in the winter because there's no flies in the winter. They may not brand because when they peel, it bleeds. If you had sheep and goats back then, if you sheared and nicked one, man, that was tough. So, it affects all animals.
Not just livestock, I mean, dogs,
Oh,
cats,
yeah,
everything,
sure.
everything.
Wildlife.
Any mammal that has a open wound.
And the cure is an antibiotic type, or what do you give the cows to?
Well, there's poison, you swallow them out and kill them, but
Maybe too late.
yeah, that's just, we need to get the Mission, Texas type factory back going.
Is that what they're talking about?
That's what they're talking about doing. So, Department of Agriculture, the Texas Department, Sid Miller's on top of this. And, there's a lot of, help from the wildlife people, like the Dallas Safari Club, and they have money, they have people with money. And, anyway, that's just an update. There's a webinar on, I guess Luke Hendrick sent that out.
Mhm.
And I'm not sure when it is, but anyway, if there's any questions, I could be happy to try to answer them.
So I know I read they've shut down cattle imports from Mexico, I believe.
Yeah.
Are there any exceptions to that, or are they just completely?
There's no
shut down?
exception that I'm aware of, but that's a precautionary thing, and
It would be
the
any
Mexican people
livestock.
aren't happy either,
Yeah,
No,
but if you're importing Mexican cattle, they're not coming to Texas, they're going north because there's nowhere, Texas
not
is void of grass. So, the Mexican
They don't
people,
want
the
it.
Mexican ranchers and their livestock industry want to stop it too.
oh, yeah.
yeah.
Absolutely. Anyway, that's an update.
Yeah. Thank you. Keep us.
Thanks.
You are now the commissioner of screwworm.
And the screwworms are?
Yes, screwworms are.
Thank you.
No, it's hideous, Hate to see that coming back. How do the wildlife population,
I'm
how
sorry?
do you protect the wildlife? Just
With those sparrow flies.
Sparrow flies,
Yeah.
lots and lots.
Right.
Is it ultimately fatal to the animals?
Can be, yes. Yeah,
I imagine it exposes them to other infections.
right. And if you don't find them, doctor them, yeah, it can kill
I mean, you kind of run down your deer. I mean, they're
Right.
gonna continue to
Right.
them. Yep,
drop the larvae and the cycle continues.
right.
Thanks, sir.
Thanks for listening to my spiel.
Yeah.
Thank you for learning about it.
Sure.
We don't have to.
Anything
Nope.
from you? Okay. All right, number 8, county judge report. The only thing I have this morning is we are continuing, just for the court's knowledge, the phone conversion to the PBX system. So we converted my office first. And we're slowly going through whacking dead phone lines and fax machines that go nowhere and things like that, and converting it to PBX. So, as I mentioned before, having a phone line costs us $90 a month. Having an extension costs us $10 a month.
Mm.
So, or $12 a month. So we're slowly going through the entire county. Once we get that done, we'll come back and look at upgrading our phone system because it's starting to be end of life.
Mhm.
So just want to let everybody know that continues on. Hopefully that'll cut our phone bill by 50%.
Their own private doge.
So revenue, gotta find more revenue.
Yes.
All right, number 9, a report from Big Bend Public Library. Warren. Tell us what's happening there.
Okay, well, hello, everyone. My name is Dale Weiss. My wife Allison and I, we are now permanent residents of South County. We live on Tulinga Ranch Road, a couple miles from the lodge. So we're also volunteers of the Big Bend Citizens Alliance, and it's a nonprofit, if you don't know, and down in Tulinga, it does everything from the library to dark skies initiatives to recycling. Terlingua Cares, which is helps people in crisis, and I'm sure I'm missing a few. And I've been voluntold to provide an update of the mobile library to the commission, so I'm happy to do that. So bottom line, I think I can tell you that it's going really well. There's an appetite and a demand for it, and there's a significant amount of community buzz based on the size of the community for what we have there. Before I get to some numbers, though, let me tell you a quick story to kind of set everything up. So it was last February. It's winter. It's down in Ghost Town in Terlingua, and it's a Saturday. It's a nice sunny day, and the mobile library is parked next to the community gardens, across the street from probably the only pickleball court within 100 miles, unless I'm seeing it here. So there's activity going along, and the library's there, and people are showing up like they would, because that's one of the places the library's parked. And at one point, a couple of women walk in, and they go, well, what's this? It's a library. Well, can I come in? And yeah. So they're looking through the books, and they each found a book, actually. And one of them was, I don't know, Back Trails of Big Bend National Park, and the other one was Insects of the Chihuahua Desert or something like that. They go, how do we get this book? Well, sign up and get a library card. And they did. And they walked out with their books, and they were pretty happy. If you're expecting a punchline, like based on the research, they discovered the lost mine or an insect from the Chihuahua Desert. No, they were happy. They got books. And from a library, that's an essential service of what a local government should provide. So for starters, we thank you for providing the budget for that. But also, what's interesting is they were two people of 235 that now have a Big Bend public library card. And we can all discuss what the permanent population of South County is. I don't know, 1, 2, 3, 4, 500. But that number 235, that represents what, half of the population of that area. So when we talk about that there's a desire for it and an appetite, there is, because we've been at it since December, January, and this is what we have so far. So let me provide a few details of what's going on, some of the metrics and numbers of what's happening. In addition to checking out books like a library does, we also have an area where we give away books. And so at any given time, every week or so, we give away about 30 books. There's also an exchange box where people put stuff in and take stuff out. So that's all part of the library. The mobile library goes about twice a week to different locations. And it's on Thursdays at this ball field next to the Terlingua School. And Saturdays, it's in Ghost Town at Community Gardens, because that's where the people are. And that's generally what's been happening since it all began. There's a ton of social media engagement, a ton for this area. And there's a constant cadence. And thank you all for providing your favorite book. I know Greg was Grant, which I'll have to check that out. Ruben's was the latest. His was Old Yeller. So it's great. Great book, doesn't end well, but it all goes to part of that engagement that we all have. And that's, again, for a small community, it works pretty well. And the library will be at the July 4th parade. We'll be rolling in Terlingua for that. Also, there's been a lot of unsolicited fundraising activities for the library in that part of the county. I know Allie and Hunter Wright at Wright's Hardware did an Easter celebration. Proceeds went to the library. We had something called the Wildlife and Wine Festival. It's the first time we missed it this year. That was for the library at your old place, Far Flung. They're having on July 5th a luau at the pool with a band and music and food and everything. Those proceeds go to the library. So it's really nice that the local community is really engaged and embraced what we have. The library itself, it is a big toy hauler, if anyone's seen it, but it's more than that. We like to think of it as part of a community activity center. There's juggling lessons, origami. Allison, my wife, is a retired school teacher. She does story time for the kids. One of our volunteers, Eric Sandman, he's also known as Dr. Gigabyte because of all his technology knowledge. He gives free tech service. So people come in with their laptops and all that, and they ask about, and he fixes stuff for them. We also have a printer and a fax machine, a copy machine, internet. So it becomes not just books, which is important, but sort of a little bit of everything. And some of the numbers, We have 1,100 books approximately cataloged and available for the shelves. Now, 1,100 books doesn't fit in the toy hauler, but we curate as best we can. Another 1,000 books on deck, ready to be cataloged. The volunteer group, it's from BBCA, the Big Bend Citizens Alliance. And any given time, there's 10, 15 of us that can be available to help with different library activities. I know like for July 5th, there'll be all hands on deck at Farflung for that. So we have a good amount of volunteers that are needed with that. We've received $29,000 in donations. That's in addition to the budget money. And that's from foundations, grant money that we've asked and it's come in. One example is $11,000 from the Tucker Foundation. I have no clue what they are, but I think they have to do with literacy. And that was for technology, computers, and software because you got to run a library. So they provided that. So I think bottom line with what we see at the library, based on that number of 235, there's appetite. And I think more is going to happen over the fall. We're going to try to get the library to other places. It's a little bit of a challenge because we need to find someone we pay with a 1-ton truck to be able to haul it different places, but we're trying to do that. And we're trying to have other activities with it as well. So that's the library update. I'll be glad to take any questions. I am a volunteer, so my knowledge is limited, but if I don't know it, we can find out for you.
Is it going out to Terlinga Ranch?
Not yet.
Okay.
Does he go to Lajitas? Do you go to Lajitas?
Not yet. But those, and also Jackass Flats, another place we want to go. But right now, just in terms of the limitations of trying to find a 1-ton truck, we know that we can do it at the ball field because that's where it lives. And then we can take it out to Ghost Town because it's just a short little trip around.
Yeah.
But at some point, if you think,
Y'all accepting books?
yes, we get donations all the time. Like I said, there's 1,000 of them getting ready to be categorized, which we don't have. So if anyone in the county wants to donate an impounded 1-ton truck, we'll be glad to take it because that would give us more opportunities to bring the library other places. Just saying.
We've got a couple of trucks coming off the road and bridge, but I'm not sure I trust them.
They don't have to go too far, but yeah, they got to go that far.
How's the trailer holding up? Is it lights working and?
Yeah.
Hitch is all good?
Getting ready to have Michelle Billings give it a complete paint job.
Okay.
The logo is this little Roadrunner guy on it.
Beautiful rolling billboard.
Okay, good.
It also has the best internet, I think, in
Yeah.
South County. It's got Starlink on top, so people come with their phones and they download what they need. Yeah.
Good. I'm glad to hear that. I mean, ultimately, the end game is a permanent fixture, right? Permanent location, but this is a bridge to that.
I think you needed to show a proof of concept, and I think we have, yeah.
Good. It's funny, when I came into the office, I thought, frankly, I thought libraries were a thing of the past. I just figured that digital did, but they're not, and certainly not in Alpine, Marathon, and Terlinga. All three have very good libraries. I'm just real pleased to see.
Think about how a library can evolve too. I mean, there's books, which people still like. You go to the school, it's digital assets. Think about in the future, and there are a lot of libraries that do this, a library of things, where you can have tools, you can have a kayak, you can have electronics, other technology that people can check out, just like they can with books. So there's a lot of opportunity if we ever get the permanent fixture, and a lot of other libraries are doing that. So the best is yet to come.
Do you have laptops available for people? They get to bring their own.
They bring their own, but we do have a laptop there. So I know Eric always has one on him. So if someone needs to do something or check things, it's available. But that's, again, down the road, library of things. Even with the mobile, as we get more donations, it's conceivable we could have a couple of laptops sitting on a table. People can come in and do what they need to do, like any library has.
Did you guys use, so we've got some iPads. They're about this size,
About this size.
Yeah.
You'd have to buy the keyboards for them.
Mhm.
But would you guys have any interest in a few of those?
Absolutely. Yeah. Because people come in,
Have some in
Our
surplus.
cheerleaders behind you there.
Yeah, we'll
And they're stored in my closet, so we'll bring them.
We'll take iPads, absolutely. We'll add that to our donation pile. We won't put that in the exchange box. We'll keep that one though.
It's got a couch and a coffee table area, so, and there's games, so people hang out and so
Nice.
iPad would be
Yeah.
great for them to look up because we do have this wonderful internet, but they also hang out to play some games, to talk.
Well, thank you for all y'all's hard work on this. Welcome to volunteerism internally.
Yes.
I mean, this is, you know, you're gonna get sucked right.
We understand that. Being voluntold is what we do now, so we're available. We're totally fine with that.
Fire department, there's Citizens Alliance, there's, you know, it goes on and on, so.
You've got my number.
Thank you.
So, and I'm now retired, so I'm fully capable of doing that.
Thank you, Alice.
Are the hardest workers are the retired, but
You're welcome. Does anyone have a library? Does have someone got a library?
I got one.
You need to sign up, so just so you know.
Yeah, you should be one. I've never used it, but
Thank you.
thank you.
Thank you.
I'm gonna back up one second. If Leah, if you hear me, if we can throw that up on the screen. This came across, my desk this morning from Commissioner Westerman. And I thought this was kind of interesting. So watch this.
oh, yes, I've seen that video. Oh, no sound.
No sound.
Run you.
Say, here's the map. Where is this entire part of Texas? This is the area around Big Bend National Park, and you can't even see it on this map because this area is the largest international dark sky reserve in the world. And I obviously had to go check it out. The Greater Big Bend International Dark Sky Reserve covers 15,000 square miles. So I stayed on the reserve in Terlingua, Texas, which is right there. And I stayed at the Far Flung Outdoor Center, which itself is equipped
I don't
with
know
bright
the
lights
name.
for better stargazing. They also host astrophotography workshops and weekly star parties, which are open to the public and free to go to. And they teach you all about what you're seeing and let you use the telescopes. I used them to take this photo. The skies are absolutely unreal. Even on a cloudy night, you can see more constellations than you've ever seen. And on a clear night, you can see the Milky Way. People will drive into the park because it's right next door and open 24/7 and do stunning astrophotography. And you can see shooting stars and satellites and stars so faint that I've never even seen before. And I didn't get to do this, but the Far Flung Outdoor Center also offers multi-day river trips through the park, and I can't even imagine that night sky through these canyons and mountains. It's also a short drive from the McDonald Observatory, which is where they discovered a lot of really cool stuff, including the atmosphere of the moon Titan. So if you're ever looking for a spot to immerse yourself in the stars as close as you can get on Earth, I think this has to be the place to go. And you'll be surrounded by other people who are also obsessed with the cosmos. There's something weird about this map.
Who's that one?
I'm gonna guess this is an influencer hired by Far Flung, but at the end of the day, man, at the end of the day, I think it's, by the way, full disclosure, I have no interest in Far Flung anymore, but, I think it's good, and I think it goes to how popular the dark sky is becoming.
Yes.
Really popular, and we need to, in my opinion, play that up to the max in Brewster County, certainly down in Terlingua, so.
Well, I was still living in Houston in the eighties, and that's what got me out here was a map with the
Yeah.
night sky or the night US. And so this big black hole, I said, what's out there? And it kept coming out, and lo and behold, I live here now. So it's important that we cultivate that because we don't have oil, gas, industries. We have tourism.
You know, I would tell you, the commissioners, you know, our dark sky regulations are kicking in this year. And, you know, I'm a carrot, not a stick person, but we need to make sure that we're all preaching that song to everybody and doing what we can. There are resources out there. McDonald Observatory has resources to help people upgrade their lights at no charge.
Yeah.
Or very little charge. So whatever we can do to encourage people to go night sky, it's for the benefit of all.
Yeah.
There'll be a few holdouts and they get to come see me in court.
Mhm.
Or Judge Wasserman in court, maybe. But that's not what we're after. We're after, you know, getting everybody dark skied up. So I think it's great. But it's gonna take a commitment, or otherwise we're gonna be polluted like everybody else.
Right.
So, all right, anything else about that? All right, first, let's see, what else we got here? Let's do number 10, Brewster County project list. The updated project list is on your iPad. Project Tracker, it's called Project Tracker. I went back and just kind of went through it was kind of interesting, all the projects we've completed since 1/1 of 23. We had 1.7 million in what we called ARPA money. Now we're calling it the non-ARPA money.
The money formerly known as ARPA.
Because it got pushed over to labor and we freed this money up to do projects. I'm very pleased that we were able to do a lot of things. We still have a little bit money left. in the budget to spend. And we've got a few things. We need to finish the document storage project. We've still got some money to spend on IT, hardening our network some more. But the one I have today, which ties to 10B, is the doors. I've been holding this for a while because it kills me that we have to do it. But honestly, we have 22 roll doors in this county. And I'm talking about the big doors, 22 of them. So unfortunately, we kind of put them in 20 years ago and then just never maintained them. And so we're suffering the consequences. Some are completely gone, shot. One at the jail, one at Road and Bridge. Some of them have their motors, drives are out. So I've got a quote here. I'm sorry, I didn't put a copy of it. I'll pass it around. I had them, they gave me quotes on it. I said, look, come in and give us a list of all the things that are wrong with our doors. They did that, but they did it in pieces. So it was extraordinarily expensive. I said, look, what if we just brought you in for a week and you fixed all the doors one time? And got us back on track, no pun intended, for our roll doors. Our emergency services, our ambulances got to be able to get out of the door. So what I have for you guys is a proposal to go in using this project money. It's $33,000. Yeah, that's what I said. And a lot of it's in labor. They're going to send 2 people here for a week, and that's all they're going to do is work on the doors and get them ready. I'd like to get to the point where we get them fixed and then we don't spend that money every 10 years. We spend a little bit every year maintaining them. They're all working doors. It's not like they sit around. Johnny, your door goes up and down every day, right? Same thing with our ambulances, fire trucks, that sort of thing. So I'll pass this around for you guys to look at. Some of them are just parts.
I saw it on.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's on the.
Oh, did I put it on there?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Okay, never
I've
mind.
broken it out into the different
Yeah,
areas.
I broke it out there by where it's going, where the,
T-Pens, Alpine, shop, jail, R&B,
I
Alpine.
have a question,
Yeah.
not regarding the doors, but is the list of project allocation tracker, is it current?
is current.
And we don't have the windows of the red patella?
They're done.
Okay.
It says it's pending.
Oh, I just hadn't changed it.
Oh, okay.
When I wrote that, it was still pinned. They're finished now.
Any more on there that are finished that are pending?
Let's see, I think there's a little bit more on the generators for
That's the other
the
one I was gonna ask
studio
about.
beat water. They, we allocated them, I think,
102.
well, that's what's spent. There's another about $20,000 on a third generator, and I'm waiting for their invoice. So that one's still pending.
Okay.
The windows at Red Patilla have been completed, and according to, I haven't seen them yet, but Sarah tells me they're marvelous.
They're nice.
So that's good. And they're double pane, so now we can
Double
actually,
pane, low E, very nice.
so broadband expansion in Marathon, I think that one's pretty much out. The library trailer, there's a little bit of money left on the library trailer. I'd like to, if you guys have something specific on that one, I think that one was, there's a little bit of money left there. If you've got something you need to wrap up there,
We do.
get that in, if you'll get that in pretty quickly.
I'll work on that.
Probably the biggest one is now I'm sorry, number 32, the materials and labor to close in the fire station. That what's left there is we've got 2 roll, that's not in this proposal. We've got 2 roll doors there to put in.
Okay.
Those are going to have to be,
They're new though.
they're going to be brand new. They don't have doors now.
Right.
And so they're going to have to be exterior mounted doors because of the,
Oh, yeah. That's
Remember
right.
that?
It looks good.
so I'll come back in at the next meeting with that. So we've got the things that I want to make sure we're holding some money for particularly is our cybersecurity upgrade. We've got to finish that project.
Mhm.
We've hardened the network. We need to harden the workstations now.
I did attend the county technology conference last week. I attended virtually, and it was very good. They had their main focus always, cybersecurity is always a huge one, but they also talked a lot about AI and how we need to have an AI policy for the county,
Mhm.
and also accessibility, because there's new accessibility rules that are going into effect. So
Yeah, as a matter of fact, our TAC is looking at our website right now for accessibility.
Yeah, that was my question to the TAC officials at the conference was, our website is hosted by TAC and their third-party provider. And I think that should entail that they know what they're doing as so far as what our requirements are for accessibility.
Yep. So before you is, I'll make a motion that we approve the 33,353.47 for the garage doors across the county.
I'll second.
Motion and a second. Any further discussion? It pains me, but I think it's the right thing to do. So all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, thank you, guys. All right, number 11, let's do road and bridge.
We're still hauling material to Postal Road,
It looks nice.
is it?
To Fulshire Road, you say?
Yes, sir.
Right
Okay.
where it branches off of Roadrunner Circle, they're putting down the asphalt millings.
Good.
It seems to be going okay. There's some rust spots on it, but that's the way the millings works. But they will gradually disappear slowly but surely. Also, we started hauling some of the trash from dump day from Marathon to the landfill.
Johnny, real quick, I don't know if I got with you. Carlos said he was gonna haul off the steel. Did you get that? Did I send you a note on that or did I forget?
No, sir, I had talked to him, or he had called me in regards to the
Metal.
material, the road base. He's gonna allow 126 cubic yards for the amount that you and him signed over.
The text dot gives us?
Yes, sir.
No, I'm sorry. I'm talking about the metal at the yard.
Oh, the metal at the yard.
That he's gonna haul that off.
Oh, he's gonna haul that off?
Yeah, so you don't have to haul that metal.
Okay.
If it's that metal pile,
Right.
Carlos is gonna take that. He said take him another week to get.
Did you talk to Ruben about that?
Was this the metal that we allowed the shooting foundation to pick through?
No,
No.
no, this is metal that showed up at dump day
Oh, okay.
at Terlingua. And
Oh, your pile of metal is still there.
okay, it'll save us a lot of money hauling it. We're
Right.
gonna have to haul it all the way to the landfill. Now, the landfill will take the metal free
Okay,
because they resell it.
Yeah.
right.
It's
And so
money
this
maker
is
for them.
easy to give it to Carla because he's in that business and knows how to get rid of it. So he's just leave it there, take everything else out, but leave the metal and he'll take that.
Okay,
And if he doesn't in a week or two, I'll remind him.
okay, that'll work.
Go ahead.
And we also had, I had a couple of guys clean out the swimming pool at the Post Park. Getting it ready to put a fresh coat of paint on it so we can fill it up for the summer. And then guys did some patching in town locally, Cemetery Road, Ted Street, Fort Davis Street, Prairie View. And then we did some maintenance on a couple of vehicles, oil changes, wash jobs, grease jobs. And then on Friday after the rain, I got a call about some debris on Loop Drive. So there was a couple of guys that went out and took care of that. And there's no permits.
The two things, the truck, the new tractor, so that's gonna be ready in August.
Oh.
So I signed the contract for that. So that'll be delivered and they're delivering it to us. I'm gonna send Leah and Jenny out, Johnny, that like maybe even today. I want them to take pictures of that old tractor trailer.
Uh-huh.
And then the two, you have one truck that's down, right?
Yes, I have there's a 209 flatbed that's,
Gone.
it's gone.
Okay, yeah, we're not gonna put any more money in that.
No.
So we're gonna take a picture of that, and then you've got a second truck, I wanna take pictures of that. I'll bring it back to the court, we'll declare that salvage and get rid of those vehicles.
Okay, are you talking about one of the
Pickup trucks.
pickup trucks?
Once you have two pickups, you have one that's down with a transmission problem.
Right, that,
And then you have a second one that's older than
yes, sir.
Methuselah.
And then there's the old asphalt distributor.
All right, Are you still, can you still use the distributor?
No, it's not a distributor, it's just an old water truck.
Oh, we don't use it at all?
No,
All
sir.
right, then coordinate with Jenny and Lee and let's get photos, all that. We'll get it put on the salvage
Okay.
list and get it sold. And then, just FYI court, I've asked a couple of leasing companies to give me some proposals on leased trucks. We're gonna maybe look at leasing as an option for our new trucks instead of buying. Anything else?
No, sir. Did you get on what I mentioned about the road base from Carlos, the text?
Yes, into the letter.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, they got the letter.
Okay.
Yeah, so we should be.
So it's all good to go.
It's all good.
Okay.
Yeah.
No, that's all I have.
Okay. He's referring to, everybody knows, we get a certain amount of road base for free from TxDOT every year.
Sort of.
Yeah.
Free?
It's never that simple.
Yeah, it's not nothing's free, but
Yeah.
I'm not having to call Melinda and hand them a check.
Yeah. No, we have an allocation, an annual allocation, and they keep track of the dollar amount of even the junk that they give us.
But it's helpful, and then
It
they helped
is.
us on the road base for the clinic. So. Okay, anything else for Road and Bridge? All right, very good. Moving on, emergency management. James is at Texas Department of Emergency Management Conference this week in Fort Worth, so I don't have any real updates there other than the burden ban needs to be renewed. And my recommendation is we continue the burden ban for another 45 days. I don't see any reason to suspend the burden ban at this point.
My only question is, do we ever want to consider removing some of the exceptions?
Give me an example.
Example, does not apply to welding and does not apply to fire rings.
Or what?
Fire rings, like a campfire
Oh,
under 18 inches.
So welding, they do have to call James and he vets it pretty closely to make sure that there's a water supply and fire extinguishers. We've chosen to stay there because sometimes that's just work that has to be done.
Mhm.
You're talking about eliminating that. Is that what you're
I'm
asking?
just wondering, like, yeah, we have done that in the past. We have put in place more strict.
Correct.
And I
We
just,
have not addressed welding, and then the other one was social fire rings.
Mhm.
As long as it's a built-up fire ring, small social fire.
small, no bonfires.
Every
please.
once in a while, we get, the huge tourist bonfire, but the sheriff's office is pretty good about knocking that. Knocking that down. And we're out.
Is there does anybody ever ask nowadays for a control burn? Or is that verboten?
No, they still ask for it. It's pretty rare though.
Just
And-
because of the conditions?
Yeah, and then it's usually an agency like Texas Park and Wildlife or somebody like that wanting to burn. We haven't approved a control burn in a while.
Just wondered.
This goes through July 4th. Is there any additional restrictions that aren't already in place about fireworks?
Oh, yeah, the fireworks, restriction.
No, but I don't know if you've been following the legislature. The legislature is about to pass, there's a very controversial bill in the House right now that looks like it's got legs, and that is, it's gonna eliminate commissioner's court approval on fireworks. And so the counties are all saying, no, that doesn't work because every county's different. And
Right.
a lot of us are having to deal with, we have volunteer fire departments. So clearly the firework lobby is pushing to take that out of control. I get it every day, an update. It's a big fight there right now to not let that pass.
Yeah.
So
Well,
the
that's one
answer
more
is,
thing that's out of our local control.
well, I know. And it seemed like that, fireworks ought to be within the local control.
Yeah, because,
Particularly in a county this size.
Mason County may be
Right,
wet,
exactly.
Yeah.
and we're not.
Yeah, James brought us the drought map last meeting, and it was like, some parts of Texas are fine, other parts of Texas are,
Horrible.
Yeah.
horrible. Yeah,
Riel County.
you
this
can't
weekend.
make one rule that fits everybody.
Beautiful. It's great.
Yeah.
They got a lot of getting rain, so.
Must be
But I
nice.
mean, so it still holds no, what do you?
No
Saturday,
fins.
No fins, no sticks,
No sticks.
No fins, no sticks.
no fun stuff.
Haven't made, basically, we haven't made any changes other than just extended.
So everybody knows that it's still the same.
Right.
Right.
You want to make a motion?
I'll move that we, continue the burn ban in Brewster County from May 31st through July 15th, 2025.
I'll second.
Motion is second. Any other discussion? All right, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, great. All right, let's do treasurer's office. She's in training today.
She texted me this morning and is not feeling well. She'll be in later.
Okay, all right, let's go to the Brewster County Comptroller.
Pretty straightforward. You should have in your packet an expense approval report and a check report. It's essentially, the way I set it up was to have the listing of what has been paid since the last Commissioners Court meeting.
Here it is, right here.
The expense approval report is by vendor. And then the check report is just a listing of checks in order. What I'd like to do, and I did not get it printed this time, is to have one that's like by fund or by department. And I guess it's my question for you guys, is this what you want to see, or do you want to see it in a different format, or?
I think this is great.
easier?
It's easier than what we had before.
It is.
Anything is easier than what we have.
Sarah likes the breakout.
Yeah.
You like the by fund breakout, or?
You know,
I do. I like seeing like, what did tourism spend? What did
Okay.
Road and Bridge spend? I'd like the vendor one too, because then I can cross-reference it.
you like both.
I
formats?
do like both.
And
I'm
it's
a-
easy to print additional reports. It's just not totally formatted yet. So we can make that happen.
And we're back on the submit it by Wednesday at 5, pay it by Tuesday the following.
We are finally, I think after this week, we're kind of back on schedule. It's been a little crazy.
And people request purchase orders again.
We've
Don't,
been able, there was a little miscommunication there, I guess. But we have,
I think everybody was just scared to bother your office.
it was scary to walk in there for a few days. Things were a little tense over there.
Patsy we've been kind of protecting her a little bit because she's been really busy
She's
learning the
been
new system.
slammed. So,
Melinda's been helping out with POs a little bit. Are you still doing that some or?
no, I think we can kick it
Go
back
Okay.
to normal.
Yeah.
So if you want to go ahead and take care of the bills, and then I do have a budget adjustment.
What is Culberson County for 37,000?
That is the payment for the Far West Texas,
Indigent.
That's our share.
Public
Sure.
defender's office, yeah.
Okay.
yeah.
They're the fiscal agent for that.
Okay.
But why do we have February 2025, January 2024, and March of 2025?
Oh, that's probably a typo.
As things got brought over, which page are you looking at?
The one with Mo just mentioned, Culberson County, the 3 checks written to them. The description was wrong, I guess. The payable number was correct. They're
Are you on
all,
the vendor listing?
Yes, I'm under page
Your
3.
list? Yeah.
yeah.
So this one is a little bit kind of funky because there were several items that had to get brought into the new system with a May 2nd date on them. That was one of them. Going forward, we will not have that. But there was no other way to get them in the system.
I mean, the one side shows it 3 consecutive months, the other had jumped back
Yeah.
from a year ago.
Yeah, it's in the description. It's just.
Yeah,
it's
it's not
just a
just
typo.
technical, it's not.
Because what happened is Tyler is set up, the new system is set up to where things go in with a specific date. Like if you write a check today, it goes in with today's date. But as you bring stuff in from the old system, it wouldn't necessarily have a specific date attached to it. It just said March of 2023.
Mhm. So that's why they all say 5/2, 5/2.
So that a lot of them are gonna say 5/2 in here in this particular report, so.
What was Hawkins Battery and Golf?
Which one?
I'm on the check report. It's down towards the bottom. It's actually done that. It has a VIN. Oh, it looks like it's kind of like the Leviton law firm. They'll cut a check. Must have been a last minute thing. It says
No,
VIN.
that was a test one. I saw that one and I looked at it and I'm gonna be honest, I can't remember exactly what it was.
Is it tied to a grant?
I think it had something to do, I don't know. Let me check it and I'll
Okay,
get
yeah,
back to you.
just
on
let
it.
me know.
Okay.
I mean, I'm just more curious
Yeah,
than anything else.
It's batteries for a golf cart?
Well, I don't know.
Yeah, do we have one?
it wasn't specifically, a lot of times you're gonna buy batteries from a golf cart place because they have the deep cycle batteries.
Yeah, I was
So-
thinking like the radio tower on Mount Ward or something.
I'm thinking, I think, and that may have been what it was. I'm gonna have to look.
Yeah, speaking of that, on the side note, the solar panels on Christmas Mountain for the raid sheriff's office,
Mhm.
3/4 of them got destroyed in a hailstorm. Usually they hold the hail pretty good, but not this time. Must have been some big.
Depends on how old they are, yes.
And so we're gonna be faced with some expenditure. We think the grant money can cover that. But our communication down south are sort of weak right now because we don't have the power. We've got to get that fixed quickly.
Solar's cheap. Panels shouldn't be too hard to get.
You know somebody that sells those.
I do. I'll give you our supplier.
And, excuse me, one other thing, just to kind of point out when you're reading this. When you look at the expense approval report, not to, as the judge is fond of saying, get too far into the weeds. But when we post an expense to the general ledger, that post date that you see on the expense report is the invoice date. When you look over at the check report, that is going to be the check date. So just as you're looking at these things, kind of keep that in mind. So
They're not gonna be the same, more than likely.
they're not necessarily
Yeah.
going to be the same.
Okay.
Correct.
Good. Good to know.
Well, this just it's a breath of fresh air to see these reports, isn't it?
Yes.
Because they actually make sense now.
Easier to follow. Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
I entertain a motion to approve the expenses as presented.
I move to approve the expenses as presented.
Anybody want a second?
I'll second.
Motion is second to approve the expenses as reported. Further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, all right, go ahead, Melinda.
We do have one budget adjustment for tourism. Robert had requested one of his employees had spent a lot more time dealing with journalists, and the employee was dealing with that rather than using contract labor for that. He was, had some contract labor in the budget that was not being used. So we have moved, 6,000 from contract office staff to county paid overtime to cover the overtime incurred by his employee.
All right, so I've got a question about that. Robert, so when, I take it this is Aaron.
Yeah.
So he goes out and he's entertaining riders. He works all day and then he takes them to dinner or whatever.
Yes.
He's on the clock, he's working. We're expecting.
Yeah,
him to
that's the
work.
policy since I started here, yeah. If you're in the vehicle or you're with journalists, you're on the clock.
And that's fine. I mean, people work, they gotta get paid for it, but my question, Melinda, is this. Well, first question is the budget committee are they gonna allocate some overtime in the budget?
We do every year. We've never exceeded it. So honestly, the last several years, excuse me, we've dropped it some. Probably shouldn't have this year. I didn't know Aaron was gonna be this much of a go-getter of a journalist, honestly. So we usually allocate it we started with 10, and we dropped it down to 8, I believe, this year. It went down to 7, but this wasn't enough. So we haven't been paying overtime. We have a line in our budget for overtime. We just under budgeted this year, and I didn't want to have to go in the negative for the summertime because we haven't used that many contractors, so we still have plenty in that line.
So my question, Melinda, is more of an accounting thing.
Mhm.
So the overtime is actually created by the travel riders budget. In other words, it's the travel riders that created the overtime.
And some shows.
Is there a way I guess my question is, should we charge it to that?
It would mess up the payroll reporting.
Oh, it would?
Overtime is wages. So we need to have that in its category so that it gets correctly reported to that employee. If you start trying to bury a payroll item
Well, it's a double-edged sword. You got it kind of lost, but at the same time,
But once you lose it, it would make payroll processing and W-2s a nightmare.
would we be better off? But payroll is so immediate, you wouldn't have time to get court approval, but I'm just wondering, would we be better off doing like leave overtime 0 and line item it in from marketing?
Well,
I guess my point is that why did the overtime occur?
I think.
And it occurred because of a marketing thing that we did. Otherwise, we wouldn't.
Well, I mean, apparently it is tied to marketing, but since that's kind of his position title.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that captures it because you can look at his position title, what is it, public relations assistant?
Yeah, that's true. He's not doing
Yeah,
any
so-
work that's not marketing, so.
So I mean, he's
Okay,
got a title that ties it to that category,
yeah,
but his regular pay, his overtime, that kind of thing needs to stay in a payroll category.
that's fine.
So.
And we know the overtime in this case was related to his travel riders.
Yeah, way more than this.
What about shows?
Shows also comes out of this overtime, you know, when you flying somewhere, you know, that's clock time, or that's always been what the policy that the department has had. But like at a show, if it's over, it starts at 9 and it's over at 5. Yeah, but it's not like you're done. You have to finish the booth, reset it the next day. So there's an hour or two every show that he gets overtime, pretty much. Usually every show is a couple of hours of overtime. Yeah. But the majority of the time are when he's taking journalists around here in the county.
Maybe that's something we could look at as we go through the budget process.
Right.
To see what we want to do with it.
Okay, all right.
Anything else?
No, I entertain a motion for the budget adjustment.
I so moved.
Okay.
And one thing on the budget adjustment, I don't have it set up yet, so I'll go ahead and get your initials on this for this one. Hopefully by the next commissioner's court, I will have it set up to where you can go in and electronically approve it and it's saved in the system. So.
Okay. All right, I'm looking for a second.
I'll second.
Motion is second to approve the budget adjustment. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay. All right, what else you got, Melinda?
Just an update on, as always, the conversion. I'm assuming Julie is in over there, but now and on the phone with, or on the Teams meeting with Landry. We're in the process of configuring the new payroll system. It's gonna be a lengthy process, but I think we're making progress. And one of the things that we're trying to do as we go through that process is kind of clean up some of the stuff from net data. So it's not gonna be immediate by the time we get through the configuration. And then we've got to run parallel payrolls in both systems, make sure that everything is matching and calculating correctly. And then at that point, we will start getting the employees electronic timesheets and show them how to do it so that we can get rid of the paper timesheets. Hopefully, looks like all of that should be done by the week of probably the end of July 21st week. I don't know that we'll have all the employees doing electronic timesheets by then, but my goal would be that by the time we get to, you know, I'm gonna say September 1st, that we pretty much have everybody doing electronic timesheets.
We are in budget season. Everybody's got their first budget worksheets and they're due next week and off we go into the wild blue yonder for budget.
Everybody's favorite time of year.
Particularly your chief budget officers. Okay, nothing else?
That's it for me today.
Ma'am, appreciate it. All right, number 15, Brewster County Tourism.
Hey, everybody, yeah. Pardon my voice, I got the funness of an early summer flu, I think end of last week, so I had fun over Memorial Day. I'm not contagious anymore. Now, Thursday, you wouldn't want to talk to me, trust me. Excuse me. Since last court, the Travel Texas French tour operator visit came through the area. One of the journalists that Aaron was with in there, they focused on unique accommodations. These are the folks from the French, from France and the European market over there who actually, they still utilize travel agents a lot. So they were really excited to come down here. They checked out all of our major properties and focus on a lot of unique stuff like the cave and the tax-paying stargazing domes. I'll leave that at that. But we did focus on only those that are paying the hotel occupancy tax. So they had a great time. They really enjoyed it. A lot of feedback from them that they were excited to get back and I guess we say expose this area to their clients, because most of them, I believe, except for one, the leader, had never been here before. So this was their first time. So that went very well. Also, they've already visited last week. They wrapped up the road trip and show that y'all approved the budget for. It's a road trip and a 1-hour show out of CBS in Austin. It's all in the can. They recorded everything, got it all video, went fantastic, a wonderful visit. However, we're going to hold on to that actual show. They're in post-production right now. But the intention was for them to come down and actually film some I guess, portion of the closure, even if it was just to stand up in front of the gate or something like that. Well, since it's been pushed back, it didn't happen. But we already had this all in the can. So what they're going to do, they're going to hold on to that until essentially I tell them, okay, let's do it, and we'll run the show. I'm looking at an early August area, since the closure should happen sometime around August. May delay that, but it's all done. So this gives them basically a month and a half to make the show look perfect instead of rushing through and having it ready for next Sunday. That was a really nice one that came through. One interesting feedback that I got from the crew from CBS Austin. They interviewed tons of people around here, you know, in the park, Marathon, Studio Butte, Lajitas, all that good stuff. They had a couple of folks who asked them if they would mention, because the host is very well known in the Austin area. If he would say, you know, it would help us out if you who are coming to visit us would go to the Visit Big Bend website and actually stay with the hoteliers or short-term rentals, you know, the RVO, Airbnb folks who pay the hotel tax. I was not expecting that. I did not lead them in any way, shape, or form to ask that question or for that to come up during this visit. But I was somewhat pleasantly surprised that it did. That shows that the local folks realize that, you know, they haven't forgot about that subject. It hasn't been presented to court. We haven't done a whole lot, you know, several months. It's still in their minds. I was just really surprised. The lead of the group called me and said, hey, we did some great interviews, but a couple of folks were asking us to do this. Is that okay? And I was like, absolutely, you can say that. You know, of course we want folks to stay with folks who are paying the hotel tax. Yeah. I just wanted to say that to the court. Just that subject has not left the local tourism industry. They still know that, and they'd still like us to do something on that. It is coming into the slower portion of the season in summer. Our office usually slows down. A lot of visitation does as well. If you would like, I'd be happy to do some focus on that. I mean, of course, we're meeting with the marketing committee and doing budget season, but maybe after that's done, say in July, focus on that month on trying to get the short-term rentals back under control. I don't have an answer. You know, we've gone through this, Judge, and everything. We can sit down and talk about it, but if you'd like, I can certainly try and work out a plan that I think would work. But yeah, it's entirely up to you guys. Whatever direction you'd like to give me on that, I'm happy to take. I just want to let you know that the local folks are remembering. Yeah, they haven't forgotten.
Problem everywhere.
Well,
Yes,
yeah, and so I talked to Justin Bregel the other day about the Airbnb specific problem.
Correct.
And the state entered into an agreement with Airbnb a few years back. I don't know if you've seen the agreement, but the comptroller basically agreed to, from anything prior to 2018, I think it was, just forget about it. And then anything from 2018, Airbnb agreed to remit payments for the state. We're at the state level, but only in bulk numbers.
Yep.
With certain circumstances, the comptroller can ask for specifics.
Right.
But it's very clear that Airbnb will not do it. They'll do it for a few counties, but they're not doing it for Brewster County, or will not do it for Brewster County. Right. So they won't even collect it.
Rude.
So I've got to, why?
Well, that
For special?
I'm guessing is
For
they don't
small
want to deal with
potatoes.
254 counties times 50 states. I think that's although I can't
think you're
imagine their IT systems are not sophisticated enough to do that.
Mhm.
For whatever reason, and they also will not, when they give the state the money, I've read the order, they don't have to provide any data.
Zero.
So they
Just
just
one
hand
big
the
lump
state
sum.
one big lump sum. and they're not required to give.
And they say,
this-
just trust us.
Yeah. So.
Exactly right.
Then we get into, Melinda and I have been talking about, then we get into the debate of, is a trailer, an RV under a shed that's never moving, it's all plugged in, is it a rental or not a rental? In my mind, it's simple. If you're charging people to stay in your place overnight and it exceeds $10, which it usually does, and it's less than 30 days, and it is, to me, that's a commercial operation.
Yes.
I'm sorry, but that the state is arguing that if it's got wheels on it,
Yeah.
it's mobile and not taxable.
Well, it's supposed to be paying the RV tax, right?
Supposed to be, now that's the catch. They're supposed to be
Yeah.
paying the motor rental vehicle tax, which is 10%,
Yes.
which is actually higher. Well, not that
Exactly.
combined, because the combined's 13%, but so, it's one of those weird deals of we have to decide where we want to stand on that. And then it gets into deeper things like our bubbles.
Yeah, TPs.
Perks.
Yeah,
Yurts.
teepees, outhouses. I mean, it's all for rent down there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Chicken
And
coops.
so chicken coops, you name it, it's all for rent. So, the argument is that the law needs to change. It's something we probably need to work on in the next legislative session, but it says buildings.
Yeah.
And is a tent or a bubble a building? Well, Justin says he thinks it is because, the argument is you can cut your way into a bubble. Well, you could break a window and go into a building. So to me, it's a bed being rented overnight. And it's subject to everybody. And then we've got to get our county attorney to want to litigate it.
Sure.
That's
Yes.
the other issue.
Yeah.
So,
We can't go in on our own.
yeah, I mean,
Sure. We don't have the authority.
Our
Yeah.
our county attorney has to prosecute that.
Exactly right. Yeah, Bill Ivy and I went to 3 legislative sessions ago. We went to the Capitol and did the testimony and all that good stuff when the state was entering into that Airbnb agreement. And we actually asked the Attorney General, or not, yeah, I believe it was the Attorney General, may have not been, but we were at a meeting and we asked, can you give us the information if we were to do an agreement like this? It was still a possibility at that time. Would we know that, John Smith paid X amount of dollars and Sue Smith paid this amount? And they're like, nope, you just get a check. And like you said, you just trust us that we collected the right amount of money. Bill and I were flabbergasted.
Yeah, unfortunately, the comptroller did not do us any favors. They actually negotiated an agreement that has set precedent.
Yes.
Because Airbnb is going to whip that out the next time, particularly a little
Yeah.
county like us tries to negotiate it.
Exactly.
They're going to go, well, your comptroller didn't do this, so we're not, so, I mean, they have a whole department of taxation at Airbnb that does nothing but this kind of work. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
There's also, there's a little bit of a conflict between what they're saying about, well, if it's an RV, and the particular one in question had that in the name, so I guess that's how Airbnb said, no, we're not gonna collect on that. But it's a fixed structure under a shed, hooked up to electricity, septic, the whole
tires are
nine
probably
yards.
dry rotted. Anyway, go ahead.
Right, I don't know if the tires are even still on.
Right.
Yeah, you know what they say, it's not home till you take the axles off.
But that's true. But that, apparently the state is saying, okay, we're not gonna collect because it's an RV, it's not a building.
Right.
But then a friend of mine that has an Airbnb down there has a tent site that she's now renting out.
Yeah.
And that is not considered subject to the hotel motel tax
That's
because it doesn't have a permanent tent. But like the guy up on the hill by my house has permanent little lotus tents. That, and has bed in it, and has rugs on the floor, and that would be considered according to what the state had said,
Like a yurt. That's correct.
like a
Yeah.
yurt.
Mhm. Yeah.
That those would be subject. So I'm not really sure how I say that a yurt is subject, but an RV is not.
What I don't really understand
That
is
makes
that, believe it or
sense.
not, there are people, we have short-term rental operators out there that are still eating the tax. They're not grasping that tax is passed through to the end.
Mhm.
So I'm not sure why other than a price competitiveness, I'm not sure why anybody would do it.
Right.
Because it's a pass-through.
Exactly.
It doesn't cost
Not meant to
the
hurt
operator
the
any
operator.
money other than the time it takes to collect it and write the check.
Just like anybody who stays at a hotel in San Antonio, Austin, El Paso, if you look at your
Right.
itemized folio, it has all kinds of tax on it.
So again, this is a
Yeah.
carrot stick thing. So I think from a carrot is maybe more education about, look, pass this on to the visitors to our area and it's good for everybody. It's going to be a continuing issue. but-
My understanding from talking to a couple of people is that since Airbnb is not remitting the local tax to the state, they will not collect the local tax. So I don't know that there's a
Yes.
mechanism for them.
Right. Even,
Break it out if they're going through Airbnb, they break out the state tax. But then the local tax, you've just got to take your overall rental
Yeah.
and gross it up to figure what.
When I did it, I'm a spreadsheet girly, so I like
No.
doing all that stuff, but not everybody's gonna enjoy
Not
that the way I
everybody's,
do.
not everybody's going to enjoy doing a gross up calculation, no.
So it's just easier to just take it
We
off.
may be a little-
anyway, what else you got there?
We might be a little weird.
Right, yeah. On a more fun note, so to speak, the video you were seeing, that is Astro Alexandra is her.
Is that who that
Name, yeah. I believe her real name is Alexandra Dole. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly.
She's an influencer for.
Yes, she came through the task force. That was one of a
She's
really.
kind of a science communicator. I think is
And
what
but she
referred-
presents, if you watch other videos, in a very intriguing way. I was very pleased with what she did. We're posting more of those. Will come out this week over the weekend. She sent several other things to us. Her name Astro Alexander, great contract, and it was the product of the task force against the closure. So that was a great one that came through. Also who came through also this week was the Drink Tea and Travel folks. They really enjoy the area as well. Their content will begin going out June 1. So they're done. They visited last week. They'll be getting there. Also in the office, Aaron is prepping for the North American Travel Journalists Association, big old long name, conference next week. He'll be going there for next year, 2026, to try and vet some other journalists to come through.
Where is that?
That'll be happening in Palm Springs. Palm Springs, yeah. So he'll be heading to that
Aaron's
one.
got a
over
good gig.
there. He does, and he's enjoying it. I will say, I've said it before. The staff that I have now is really doing a remarkable job. They enjoy what they do, and it's many of the folks who I've had in Aaron's position have burnt out a little bit because it's a lot of travel. It's a lot of fun, but you're not home much. Luckily, Aaron. He's got a dog, but that's about it, so he misses his dog, but he
You
doesn't have a
stand up at a
family.
show 10 hours a day, answering the same question.
And do it again the next day.
It's sexy for about the first day.
Yeah.
And then after that, you're ready to go to the hotel.
Yes, sir. Yes,
Speaking of
sir.
that, if anybody on the court, I highly recommend this year that you get with Robert if you want to go up, spend a day at the World's Fair, at the State Fair.
Yes.
If you have time, you should do that. Go to Dallas and help work the booth.
It truly is.
You'd be good.
It's interesting to
Yeah.
see. It's really remarkable what happens there. That's great segue too. That's the next thing I was going to say is this week we start getting
State
workers
fair.
for State Fair. Yes, indeed. So if anyone's interested or something like that, or if any of you would like to go, let us know. We'll begin the process and all that good stuff.
The other side behind you later on.
Yeah, and the marketing committee met last week. They will meet again on the 2nd of June over in Marathon. So they're on track to get the budget to you as promised. And then the last thing is we're doing a little local outreach, but I believe that's the next item on the agenda.
All right, why don't you go ahead and address 15B?
Sure thing. We've been trying to do some more through various board meetings and comments from board members, et cetera. Visit Big Bend, we do a lot of marketing outside of the area. So for 2026 and in some of our budget for 2025, we're trying to do more local outreach. So we're looking at sponsoring the Alpine 06 Cowboys. A lot of folks from out of the area, it may be just Pecos or, Paso that come over, even Sports Stockton.
Midland, a lot of Midland people come.
Yes, indeed. Yeah, a lot of Midland Odessa folks do come over here. And that's a tourist for us. If they're coming from more than, I believe the law is 18 miles away, 22 miles away, something like that, they're considered a tourist. So we thought it'd be nice to do some branding. So we're going to have a Visit Big Bend night out there once, at least, hopefully twice, a banner in the outfield with our web address on there, and just support the local folks because that is one heck of a stadium. It's on our walking tour, our audio tour. So we're looking to sponsor the 06 Cowboys. We did last year with excess funds. This time we're actually taking it out of a budget line item.
How much is it?
5,000. Yeah.
Okay.
I'll make the motion to approve the contract as presented.
Motion
I'll second.
Second, motion is second to approve the contract with the Alpine Cowboys. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Okay, so be it.
Thanks so much. Oh, last thing, sorry, a board meeting is set for June 25th in Marathon for the board. That's it.
What's the latest on, you may have already said this, the park or the basin closing? We didn't get a date yet?
You know, we were supposed to have a Texas Mountain Trail Board meeting where I was gonna speak with the new superintendent, Rick Zootman. We moved that back, so I haven't spoken to them directly. But from the information that I'm receiving, the official announcement, and that's on their NPS website, is now it is fall 2025.
Okay.
That's,
I have
that's
people
up.
calling asking me, I'm like.
Yeah, that's what we're saying is
Really
fall.
know.
Which should be September 1, which they kind of said end of August, late August, but fall is pretty ambiguous. But that's what's up on their website. There is a QR code that we've been spreading around, and it's out in the local area. That still works. Tom Vandenberg, who retired, was in charge of that, but someone has updated it and it now says fall 2025 rather than actual dates. It was May, then July, then August. Now it says fall 2025.
Are the Aramark facilities still open? I thought I saw something, I've had people ask. about a
As of now, I
food
believe they
truck.
still are, but they are due to close.
Something about a food truck or something.
Yeah, they're working on getting a food truck so that they'll have that availability. The gas station was under renovation. I think it may still be under renovation, but it's open. It's just a pump, little storage just isn't open. But they're gonna try and put food trucks down there. I don't have any other information on that for sure, but eventually up in the Chisos will close because they
Right.
can begin taking everything out essentially, even if the construction hasn't begun.
Right.
And as I understand, that's gonna be sooner than the actual closure of the road. So you can still hike, go enjoy the basin, et cetera. But the actual hotel will be closing and the
Yeah,
restaurant.
they've run their staff down to
Nothing.
nothing.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, sir.
All right, anything further for Robert?
I'm good.
Thank you, folks. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Appreciate it. All right, anything else on the court? We have no closed meeting today, and our next meeting is going to be at June 10th here in this courtroom at 9:30. I'll entertain a motion to adjourn.
Move to adjourn.
Second.
Motion to adjourn is second. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
This court's now adjourned.
Okay.
Thank you all.